DFS recap in round one of the best ball playoffs. We'll get a Monday Night Football preview in as well, maybe even a week 16 first look if we're already ready to turn the page on week 15. I'm Pete. This is the portfolio review. I hope you guys had some Jags yesterday.
I suffer from a debilitating condition known as atropic chalkitis.
Peter's one of the greatest depositors I've ever seen.
Trust the process. Let's go. Let's go.
I got auto match with Levitan. This is bullshit.
If I just go the other way in that 66, I win all the money. All the money.
If I had 150 lineups, I'd win too.
Process over results.
Illuminati make a bitch go crazy. I don't know which one of these my baby. Bust down AP, cut 5 bullets in your head like KD. Bust it, bitch go bust it. And I had 10 pints with me in Russia.
Hey everyone.
Hey everyone, indeed. What is up, GMs? Joey, don't worry. We'll get to the best ball sweats, but I'll give you a little teaser. Yes, one of the Bash teams made it. What is up? Sup. Pod complaint day. Yes, I've already seen it. It's the time of the year where not only do you cope through your bad pod luck, but you also reverse engineer a tournament structure that would have been actually perfect for your teams this year. And then assume that it would also be perfect for you next year in this new blissful reality where you get to play puppeteer on the tournaments. You know, I was thinking about this morning as I saw some of it. And I assume most people watching this show, you know, you guys are upperclassmen in the best ball university, but we have a lot of incoming freshmen. We have a lot of people who are getting their hazing ritual for the first time, understanding how cruel these massive tournaments are. And we got to let them cope through it. We got to let them experience it. They're so green out there, but soon they'll be like us. They'll be weathered veterans who have seen it all, who lose pods, based on, 0.1 kneel down, and then they'll become grizzled veterans and they can join us here on the other side of this best ball shit show that we know and love. We got some more GMs in the chat. Yes, sir. We are going to do it all. We're going to do DFS. We're going to do DraftKings. We're going to do Underdog. We're going to do Pick Ems. We're going to do Splash. We're going to do FFPC. We're going to do Best Ball. We're going to do Eliminator. Do you think we have enough action? Do we have enough action here? Ash Coates is ready for next year. Yeah, I feel that. All right. Let's see here. Let's pour some coffee. Let's get it all out in the chat. Get the vents. Get the frustration. I mean, I'm with you. My frustrations are more in DFS. I think I'm like way more zen about best ball. DFS, taking a bath week after week after week in the battle royale when I spend so much time on it and think I have a really good process with it. That is extremely frustrating to me. That's where my tilt is coming out, but we're all tilting from various directions today. Unless you stack Trevor Lawrence with Trevor Etienne, in which case you're not tilting. You're doing victory laps today. All right, KZ giving me a lot of pressure here. 10 of 10 pour or we riot. All right, I did make a fresh batch for the show, so let's see if I can deliver. It's all we have now. It's all we have. We don't have any more money in our accounts, but we do have a good coffee pour, Lord willing. What do you say, Casey? Did that meet the standards? Did that hit the spot? Seal wants the Ducks. Maybe at the end of the show when we do some drafting, we could get the Ducks going. Insane technique. Thank you. Yeah, I decided to show off a little bit, added a little bit of a vertical to the pour there. All right, we got a lot of ground to cover. So let's just start. We're going to start on DraftKings as we always do. Last week, we did this show on Tuesday? Yeah, because I was coming back from the Dog Bowl last week at this time. So we're back to our morning ritual here. Let me get my overlay up. There we go. DraftKings lineup reviews. I just had two main lineups yesterday. I was on the cram. I had 4 quarterbacks that I was interested in. People always ask, what are the gold star locks? The 4 I had narrowed it down to were Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, and CJ Stroud. Those were the 4 that I had narrowed it down to. Ended up doing a Matthew Stafford and a Trevor Lawrence. However, one of the things I did when I was running my lineups for any of the pocket passers, Stafford, Stroud, and Lawrence. I guess Lawrence, maybe not necessarily a pocket passer. He had 50 yards rushing and a touchdown yesterday. But you get my point, was I excluded the running backs. I didn't want Woody Marks with Stroud. I didn't want Kyren Williams with Stafford. And I didn't want, famous last words, Trevor Etienne. I keep saying Trevor Etienne. God damn it. Travis Etienne with Lawrence. But we'll get to that lineup in a second. That was in the red zone. We can first look at my spy lineup. This is a premium double stack, Matthew Stafford to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. I did have Amon-Ra St. Brown on the bring back. I did have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Bill. Here at running back, Kenneth Walker was my other running back slot, Harold Fannin and AJ Barner. So a double tight end lineup there, and then Raiders defense. So there's some very good things in this lineup and some very bad things. I first want to mention the ownership percentages here. We knew Puka was going to be extremely popular, but Stafford sub 10%, Adams sub 10%, and Amon-Ra sub 15%. That feels really, really good. We talked about on the stream how that all of the ownership on the Lions was going to gravitate to Jamo. That was going to be the comfy, pay down spot, save money off of Amon-Ra. Jamo's been commanding a ton of targets. So I really wanted to play the expensive bring back here in Amon-Ra. We had a similar issue play out though with these double stacks where, the Puka and Adams really high ceiling games have been negatively correlated. I did think that this game environment could maybe mitigate that a little bit, that there could just be so many points that both Puka Nacua and Adams could see their, upper percentile outcomes. Certainly not the case with Adams. He also ran bad there with pulling the hamstring at the very end of the game. So that main part of the stack doesn't hit, but feel good about the ownerships there. The big kind of domino that flipped the DFS slate on its head yesterday was Chris Rodriguez getting ruled out when we reran lineups after lock. And this was even after the cram. Bill was popping in everything. He was projecting at the time for 4% ownership at 4,400. He ends up coming in at 15.4%. So if you're wondering about the state of DFS in 2025, are people reacting to late news and rerunning their lineups? The answer is yes. The answer is yes, because, at 4%, Bill was showing up in everything. I think if you were to have adjusted that ownership up to 15% and then reran stuff, you're probably not getting as much Bill in those top lineups. It is what it is. I still think it was probably a smart edge to push just in case it didn't get over 10%, because what it did from, a roster construction standpoint was allow you to do things like the Stafford premium double. I don't think that would have really have fit otherwise without the Bill at 4,400 opening up. I'm just an absolute glutton for punishment with this Kenneth Walker stuff. We had a long segment on the cram where he was projected for 14% ownership, and I had the chat do a higher lower on Kenneth Walker's ownership, because I said Kenneth Walker sub 10% is an awesome play as a 14-point home favorite. I said if he's over 50%, he is a god-awful play. The sentiment was somewhat mixed. I ended up doing my, mental ownership in the 10 to 12% range, played him on this lineup. He comes in at 5.6%. I hate this guy. He just gives me snowflakes week after week. He's the biggest rug pull since NFTs existed. And yet, from a process standpoint, I don't know if I can be mad about it. I think Kenneth Walker at 5.6%, if you told any of us yesterday, hey, people are done with Kenneth Walker, you're going to play him. 5,600 Ken Walker at 5.6%. Show the tattoo, no regrets. No regrets. Harold Fannin comes in at 25%, scores 12 points. He had 14 targets yesterday. The rest of the team had 21 targets combined. Harold Fannin had 14 targets. Didn't really stuff the box score there. And then AJ Barner was just the double punt tight end. Again, trying to get in Puka, Amon-Ra, Adams, Stafford required a punt, as did the Raiders defense. That was the Stone Min 2K defense. They get snowflake citied here. Again, the Sims were actually serving up a lot of Raiders defense, which at their price and with the variance of the position and with how many turnovers Jalen Hurts had last week, I didn't really bat an eye at it, but clearly I should have, because they got blown out 31-0 and generated 0 defensive points. So that was my SPY lineup. I don't know if there's anything here that I massively regret. So yeah, I don't know what I learned from this one, but there's the SPY lineup. Let's see what took down first place here. Donkey Nuts. Congratulations to Donkey Nuts. This is who we lose to. And look at this. Trust the process, because they had a very similar lineup to me, except they had the Goff side of the double with the Puka bring back, and they did have Bill, and they had Etienne at 6,500 instead of Kenneth Walker. So if I just go the other way in that 4v4, I also win $100,000. But Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Puka bring back, double bring back actually, Blake Corum at 1%. That's a really nice play. I mean, we talked all week about how Blake Corum has been splitting goal line carries with Kyren. Yes, he's on the bad side of the split between the 20s, but at 4,800, and if you're playing this as the game of the week, I do not mind that at all. But this team pays down at 2 running back slots with Bill and Corum, punts it off with Gunnar Helm at tight end, who scores 14.9, also punts it off at defense, Saints. But getting the J-Mo, Goff, Amon-Ra with the Puka bring back and Etienne, that's what you needed. And holy cow, looking at this lineup, it does tilt me, not what this person did, but that you could have gotten away with the Bill score, with a low Corum score, nothing crazy at defense, no 30 burger from the Seahawks defense, no 30 burger from a tight end, like doesn't have McBride on this one, who at his salary, even then didn't kill you. So yeah, very clean lineup here on the Goff stuff. He comes in at 3.5%. So there it is. This is what a winning lineup looks like. And I will say this on the Etienne stuff. Part of the reason I was so excited about Trevor Lawrence and why I made him one of my main 2 lineups is because I thought the leverage on the Etienne stuff was really good. Etienne is chalk. I thought there was a decent amount of fragility there of, what if Tootin is a little bit more involved? 6,500 is a little pricey. Yes, it's a great matchup, but what if the production comes through the air? That was kind of my thought process. And we were also looking at, Brock Purdy ownership, who was clearly going to be steamed relative to Lawrence. They projected similarly, and yet Lawrence was the one going under the radar. So that is how I ended up on a Trevor Lawrence team without Travis Etienne. And we can take a look at that one here in the SPY. And we can also talk about another running back who, along with Kenneth Walker, gave me my demise yesterday. All right, let's see here. So this is my my second lineup in the SPY. I had a Trevor Lawrence double stack to Brian Thomas Jr. and Brenton Strange. Was extremely excited to see the ownerships on these when we flipped over the cards. Trevor Lawrence, 2.2%. Brian Thomas Jr., 1.4%. Brenton Strange, 1.3%. I did have Bill on this one, 14.4%, same as the red zone, the SPY ownership. We had the similar mini correlation here, Amon-Ra St. Brown with Devontae Adams. Obviously wish that was Puka instead of Adams. We had Bill. Juwan Jennings in the flex, 11.6%. That ownership actually stayed in check. I was a little bit worried about the Purdy stuff with Kittle, but I think Jennings stayed a little insulated there. He scores 18.7 points. Chiefs defense, 2.2%, was able to get up to a solid defense here. And then the guy who sold out this lineup, who was one of my other Gold Star locks yesterday, Quinshon Judkins, 6,300, 4.1%. He was projecting as a top 8 value, no Dylan Sampson, no Jerome Ford. I was like, this guy, he's got a 4 to 5 ball floor, catching balls here in this spot. He's going to get some goal line work, can rip off a big play. It's going to be cold. This is our big dog for Cleveland in the winter here. Give Judkins 20 carries. This is going to be a print fest, right? No. -4 receiving yards, 21 rush yards, 3 receptions, 4.7 in a snowflake. So that was a huge bummer because this lineup still cashed. It finished in 282nd place for a 3X, but just absolutely stings to waste a Trevor Lawrence score. To get Trevor Lawrence 47, to get Amon-Ra 44 points, To get 18 from Jawan Jennings and not be able to do more damage with it is incredibly frustrating here. So Trevor Lawrence, at least we got to see your flame emoji on one of our lineups, but we did not. I mean, seeing Quinshon Judkins $200 less than Travis Etienne, that's extremely tilting. Should we just do this? I always like doing this 1v1. Say I don't exclude Travis Etienne. How many points did he score? He scored 31.5. All right. And if you add 31.5 to Judkins, that's what, 27 difference there. So 170, like you get up to like 197 here. What does that do for me? Where does 197 put you? Yeah, that puts you about 12th. Okay. I'm a little less tilted. Only $1,000. I'm over it. Still wasn't close. Is interesting here. The first place team, no Lawrence, no Etienne. It's a Stafford to Puka and Colby Parkinson with also Theo Johnson, of course, has the Amon-Ra, had Bill, had Henderson. It is Bill is on all of these teams. Bill was the skeleton key to the slate for unlocking these higher prices. It was what made the Puka and Amon-Ra stuff work. Pretty crazy that both of these winning teams in both the SPY and the red zone used the Bill salary to build these high-powered lineups right there. Let's see here. We got some comments. Kenneth Walker is the Xavier Worthy of running backs. Chad Kittle says, Kenneth Walker's the Moonbirds of DFS. I feel like that's disrespectful to Moonbirds. Amon-Ra under 50% is wild. The game is beatable. That's the thing about this game is, I can identify some really good spots. I knew Trevor Lawrence was an awesome play. I knew Amon-Ra was an awesome play. Unfortunately, you need to be able to string together 9 soul reads for awesome plays. Steven says, can we just stop taking Walker? You can stop taking Walker. I will continue to take him when he's a 14-point home favorite and comes in at 5.6% ownership. All right, let's see here. Anything else we want to look at? These were the main 2 lineups I played on DraftKings. Here's another lineup. The lineup in second place that has the Trevor Lawrence and Etienne pairing had Chuba at 4,600. So it was like, this was clearly the meta for roster construction yesterday, is that pay down RB2. And it does kind of make sense, right? It was one of the weaker running back slates of the year. The top play, CMC, had a very kind of fragile projection once the Q tag popped up and people didn't really feel comfortable playing him as much. And so it really didn't set up to be like a jam 3 running backs kind of week. It really ended up being Etienne and a pay down running back and lots of double tight end teams. These are littered across the leaderboard. Here's a Kincaid and Fannin in second place, a Kittle, Colby Parkinson there, a Colby Parkinson and Bill. Here's our first Woody Marks sighting. Woody Marks, I did feel ended up being pretty bad chalk. When you got Bill opening up there for $1,200 cheaper and knowing there was going to be such a large gap in their ownership there, 52.4% for Woody Marks. He obviously got banged up. I had a shit ton of him on Underdog, but I didn't really have interest in him on DraftKings at this ownership. But yeah, some Stafford teams. This is interesting. A Stafford team was able to get home here, just didn't have Adams. Tyrone Tracy in this lineup. Tyrone Tracy, another really good running back play yesterday at 5,500, 3.1%, scores 24.7. So a few different ways to skin that cat yesterday. Let's see. Brady wants to have a macro conversation around either pricing changes or scoring changes to DK for next year. I generally hate making 2 tight end teams week after week. I'm kind of with you, Brady, in that I would like it if they price down some of the, the wide receiver 3 types, it would be a lot funner if you actually had tough decisions between, the Alec Iomaners and the DKs and the Jaden Reeds, like put those guys down at 3,500, 3,600. Make it at least an interesting conversation between the Fannons and the Mark Andrews of the world, where right now it's just clearly the math just funnels you to the 2 tight ends. So I'm with you on that. I would like them to adjust that wide receiver pricing, but ultimately we're all playing with the same salary cap, the same salaries, and we just have to adjust accordingly. But spiritually, I agree with you. It would be funner to get to play more 4 wide receiver lineups than just, PPR punt scam our way with these part-time tight ends. Add in Superflex. People always say this, like, I think, was it FanDuel? I think FanDuel had some Superflex DFS contests for a while, and they just never took off. One thing that happens in fantasy, and this is kind of true for different kinds of formats, even on Underdog with best ball stuff, is like, yes, there are devoted people who love these niche formats, and I think it's great that they exist, but there's never like a quorum, not a Blake quorum, but a quorum of like interest in content to really take them to the next level of popularity. In just standardized formats are what everyone gravitates to from a content perspective. I mean, you even see this in the difference between like DraftKings and FanDuel with DFS. Just even the full point PPR stuff, it's like so much more ubiquitous for everyone to talk about DraftKings. And I think that's also why Underdog has been so successful. Just that format, 0.5 PPR, once it's templated, once that's the universal language, it allows it to be way more of a popular format. And so I think it's always hard for the niche formats to ever get traction. So the sites, they devote resources to it, but then it becomes just a small piece of content programming, and it never has the chance to grow. So I think you'd really have to have kind of like a concerted marketing strategy around it, and working with streamers and content creators to be like, hey, we're gonna make this a thing. We're gonna really invest some resources into it, because otherwise it always just peters out because there just isn't the interest to sustain it as a format. All right. Like I said, I think that is it for DraftKings. I will continue to play a couple lineups a week, but it's tough out there. Okay, let's go over to the battle royales here. Let's see. We're going to go to the daily. We're going to go to the results. We are going to head to the main slate. We can start with the big BR here. I returned like 60 to 70% of my buy-ins. I had a couple in the top 1%, one in the top 100 here, but nothing near the top of the leaderboard. First place goes to James Berry. I believe it was Jay Slays with this lineup who was in first place for most of the day. No 4 p.m., no late players in this Jay Slays lineup. It was a Trevor Lawrence to Etienne with James Cook, Jahmyr Chase, Zay Flowers, Trey McBride. And man, this had to have been a miserable sweat for Jay Slays. Jay Slays, if you're in the chat, if you're watching, my heart legitimately goes out to you. Sitting in first, but knowing that these scores from Amon-Ra and Puka were likely to flip here, because Jahmyr Chase only scores 18.2, Zay Flowers only scores 14.3, and yet you hit the giga nuts at every other position. Lawrence, Cook, Etienne, McBride, all going for 30 plus. Lawrence, of course, going for 44 at 7% ownership, but just so hard to hold in a contest with 40,000 entrants here. And that's exactly what happens. James Berry tracks him down with a Goff. So sacrificing almost 20 points to Lawrence, but Amon-Ra more than makes up for it on those other wide receivers. He scores 34.9. Puka scores 23.4. You, of course, had to have Etienne there, 30. Trevion Henderson also scores 29. I guess it was those 3 running backs. You could have had Cook, Etienne, or Henderson, but you were going to need 2 of those 3 who scored 30 points. You obviously needed Trey McBride, who scored 31.4. And Goff, though, still a lower owned piece here. It was earlier this season when Amon-Ra went off and Jared Goff was sub 20% drafted as well. Just a very kind of clean lineup here. Goff skinny stack, Puka bring back, 2 one-off running backs, and an elite tight end. Congratulations to James Berry here. Scores 174.32 points for 30K. and Jay Roto was just behind him with the identical lineup, except Matthew Stafford instead of Jared Goff. And Goff scores 25.52, and Stafford only scores 21.92. So again, you see how tight the margins are up here at the top of the leaderboard. And the difference is a 20% quarterback versus a 90% quarterback, and getting that 4-point swing ends up being a $20,000 swing here from James to Jay Roto. And then let's see. Yeah, look at this. The second place lineup was duped 3 times. So this is a really good lesson in ownership. Obviously, any of us would be extremely happy to walk home with a 10K, but knowing that ownership flip here is the difference in $20,000, 90% versus 17%. So another week where one of the top lineups, I think it was last week when the top 3 lineups were duped. This week, the second place lineup duped, because this one is just a very similar build here, right? You get, I guess this one is it required Amon-Ra to fall. This is kind of a crazy fall for Amon-Ra, because you get Puka here and then you get Amon-Ra to fall. I think I had one of these, a Puka Amon-Ra, but Amon-Ra falls from 6.6 ADP to pick 10. Then, of course, you come back and you get McBride at pick 15. That's right at ADP. You get Etienne to slide here to 22. So you also needed a couple big fallers here, but evidently not that crazy because it happened a few times here. Here's a pick 9, Amon-Ra, and a pick 8 here. But that first one was a pretty big slide. So that's how it goes. Not only do you need to be perfect, but you need to get some ADP gifts as well. That is just how it goes. Here was my top lineup. I had a Jared Goff to Amon-Ra with a Kyren bring back. I did have James Cook in here, but the wide receiver 2 is where I missed out. A.J. Brown only scores 11 points. Trey McBride. So this lineup scores 154.32 points, finishes in 90th place. And Kyren, 10 points short of the Hendo and Etienne scores, and A.J. Brown, of course, way off the Puka score there. I had another team in the top 150. This was one of my only Josh Jacobs shares. I was off and on the clock, and I said, if Josh Jacobs beats me, he beats me. I did end up clicking him, I think 2 or 3 times across my 150. He has the catch of the day yesterday. Holy shit. I need to just stop doubting Josh Jacobs. That catch he made in the end zone was incredible. Also had a 40-yard TD run. This was a CJ Stroud to Nico with a Trey McBride bring back. Josh Jacobs one off Henderson on here in Puka. Shout out to Nez on off and on the clock. I wasn't getting to a lot of Henderson, and he said, you need to get some Henderson in your portfolio. So I made a concerted effort to get on to him a good bit, and he bubbles up in this CJ Stroud lineup. This would have been a crazy DB final slate for sure. Oh, yeah. Puka ASB was more common earlier in the week. That's interesting context. Yeah, I did not start drafting this week until Thursday, I think. So, yeah, I did not see those combos earlier. Yeah, I needed Henderson to come in a lot lower and to get more than that. Just a few entries I had with him. Yeah, I had to force it to get there. But I think to me, the process on it in getting to him makes sense. It was one of the highest totals of the game. We already know Hendo has game-breaking ability. The Bills' run defense has been really bad, and we can litigate where they've been bad. Some people talking about it, up the middle where Ramondre would run versus Hendo breaking it out. A lot of my Hendo, though, was part of game stacks. Like I had Hendo with Allen, I had Hendo with May, because my thesis was those are the spots where Henderson gets there, is that game actually goes crazy, but we didn't get the full Allen nuke. May really stalled out. I thought May was going to be the nuts after he had 2 rushing touchdowns early. I thought he was going to do what Lawrence did. So a lot of my Henderson was tied to that game environment, and I didn't have a ton of one-off Henderson because that to me was a little bit harder to see. Of course, that's exactly what happens with no other pieces from that game becoming optimal. Henderson is Ken Walker who gets there. Chad Candles has now compared Ken Walker to Moonbirds and to Trevion Henderson. He's got range, folks. He's got range. Let's check out a few of these other contests. Another brick for me into bomb. I drafted a team on, what was the team I drafted? Oh, yeah. I drafted this one on stream on After Dark. And, I'm watching this game and I'm like, and again, I don't check my scores until late in the afternoon because I just don't want to torture myself. But I had a flashback to this team and I was like, I drafted CJ Stroud. I drafted Nico. I drafted Trey McBride. I drafted Michael Wilson. I'm like, I should probably have a cooker here, right? Well, no, because it has Jahmyr, Gibbs, and Quinshon Judkins combining for 11 points. So that is why this team didn't do well. I was like, oh man, that has to be in good shape. No, narrator, it was not in good shape. My top team in here, I had a Brock Purdy to Kittle with Puka and AJ Brown and James Cook. But Quinshon Judkins, man, Judkins was my downfall yesterday. Judkins was my downfall. He became one of my favorite scrolls in the BR. Once Dylan Sampson was ruled out, I was clicking a lot of Judkins, and that clearly did not work out. AP Falcon takes down DeBomb with a Stafford to Puka, has both Etienne and Henderson on this team, Zay Flowers and Trey McBride. Really, really nice team there. JT McKenzie in second with the Lawrence, has Christian McCaffrey from the 101 and Jacoby Myers there at 9.6 with the stack. But again, getting on James Cook, Lawrence, and McBride was enough to get it done there. This is the power of correlation, even in these smaller contests. Lawrence to Jacoby's 9.6, but you get the Trevor Lawrence nuke, and you're in good shape there. The fullback dive looks like I cashed one team. It was a Lamar to Andrews. My God, I wasted the Travis Etienne, Kyren pairing, and the Amon-Ra, Jamar Chase. God, this is why it's just so sick. It's just so sick. Like if this is the Brock Purdy to Kittle, even, you're cooking up here, but just not getting these combos right. This was clearly a Chase bring back here on a Lamar Andrews stack. Just can't get the pairings right here. J Dubs takes this one down with the Allen, but has the Allen Henderson. So in small field, that mini correlation works, just not going to get home in the large field when, Trevor Lawrence outscores Josh Allen by 20 points. McBride, just a fixture on every one of these teams. Kittle was fine yesterday, but when 100% drafted tight end goes for 31.4, you're just going to absolutely have to have him. And Zay Flowers kind of showing up on a decent amount of these, only 81% drafted. People really fed up with his shit. Should have had even a bigger day than this 14.32. Another near miss on a touchdown, but some nice lineups here in the fullback dive. Randall says people only reference barbell drafting in best ball, but I think it is sharp for UD DFS pre-ETR ranks and last second injury news. Yeah. So I've had this conversation a lot. We talk about it in the masterclass. The effect of early drafting is way more pronounced, or sorry, I should say the benefits of early drafting is way more pronounced in the 12-person drafts. The ADP moves in the combos you get in the 12 persons can be dramatic, and they really can be the difference between, you had to have an early week draft to have a chance to win. In the sixes, it is way less of an impact. The Amon-Ra Puka one is a good example, but those examples are actually few and far between, because what you really need to happen to have an early draft matter in the sixes is you need one of the top 15 players on the slate to be outside of the top 15 to start the week and to move up. And basically a guy who is, let's say a 20 ADP or even 25 or whatever, say he has a Q tag, he closes as a top 6 pick. And now you're going to have a good chunk of the field, the early drafters, who are going to have that elite player paired with 2 other top players. So they're essentially sneaking in 3 elite players within their roster that's no longer attainable. People drafting late can't get that. There are some examples of it, but they're few and far between. I think you could go back and look at the sixes this week or over the season, and you might be able to find one example of it. So I don't think drafting early for the 6s is a big edge or something that people should go out of their way to do unless they want to. But certainly in the 12s. Certainly in the 12s, and all of the sharps and the dog bowl qualifiers who hunt down that, they clearly know the benefit of drafting early. So I certainly get that. Dat Mavis took second in the extra point, but was still 16 behind first. Let's check out the extra point here. There he is. Dat Mavis had the Goff to Amon-Ra and JMO. Love it with the Kyren bring back. That was a really natural, nice correlation. I did that on a couple lineups as well. The Goff double Kyren bring back. You get Barkley in here who scores 16.2. Trey McBride, of course, congratulations, Dat. But yeah, the first place team here had Drake May, Etienne, Henderson, Amon-Ra, Nico, McBride. I do like that May Henderson stack there. And I feel like May feels like he should have had 30 yesterday, just the way that game was going there. Kev got 8th in the fullback dive. Congratulations. Banking says he's fixing to start playing on Underdog. These contests look easy. Yeah, it's so easy, man. It's an absolute print fest. Join us over here. Alex, can I check the Wildcat teams? Yeah. Also, I think my best Wildcat team was from the Cram, or not the Cram, from After Dark on Saturday night. So if you guys aren't YouTube members, we stumbled upon a fun bit where I just crowdsourced from the chat. I said, toss out a scroll. Someone's like, Herbert to Gadsden. And I was just multi-tabling Wildcat drafts and starring up the suggested scrolls. And one of them was a DeAndre Swift. Someone said, just take DeAndre Swift as your last pick. So on this team that finished 120th place in the Wildcat, it was a Stroud to Nico with the McBride bring back, Etienne, Puka, and then boom, DeAndre Swift at 2.2% scores 22 points there. So shout out to whoever suggested DeAndre Swift. I think a lot of these teams, this one might have been one of my own. Where's a weird one? Did we have any other weird ones in here? Here's a Goff to JMO. Oh God, here, look, this one doesn't cash, but someone suggested the Tyler Shuck to Chris Olave. That one wasn't even half bad. Shuck scores 18, Olave scores 17. This one had Etienne, Amon-Ra there. So appreciate your suggestions. We might have to bring that back at some point because that was extremely fun, rapid firing. Although I did fall victim to the star method a few times. I believe the tally was, we took Mike Gesicki at 101 accidentally. We took Jaden Reed, I think, at 102. And there was another one I can't remember where we let the star method get to us. There you go, Alex, your swift suggestion. Thank you, sir. I owe you a tip, Alex. I owe you a tip here for taking this lineup and thrusting it into the top 120. Banking says, I'm surprised you didn't have more May yesterday. Yeah, I mean, I just liked, so I will say May's ownership came in a little less than I thought on Underdog. However, I just really liked the Lawrence, the Purdy, the Goff more at way less ownership. And so May kind of found himself in that range where I'm generally not going to be super high on a player. And when I was doing May, it was with a lot of game stack stuff. So it would have been May Cook, May Hendo. I did a lot of May with Henry as well. So that never bubbled up because Henry didn't do anything. So yeah, that is why the May stuff did not make the screen. Yeah, DeAndre Swift. I was like thinking back on it as I'm watching DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore score touchdowns. I guess the thing about the DJ Moore stuff is the Roma Dunze scratch was as late of a scratch as you can get. That was like 5 minutes before game time. So I think we can let ourselves off the hook for not getting to DJ Moore. But yeah, that was a little tilting. Cooler Hand says, Peter, I'm first in the Rottweiler and Pug Superflex. Could you explain how this goes for the next 2 weeks? I'm new to best ball. This feels like a troll. This feels like there's humble brags And then there's humble brag trolls. I don't know which one this falls into, but assuming you're being sincere, Cooler Hand, your teams will advance to a new pod in week 16. I don't know the advanced structures for the Rottweiler and the Pug Superflex off the top of my head, but you will be in another pod with anywhere from, 6 to 15 teams, and you'll probably need to finish first or second again in week 16 to make it to the finals, and then you can sweat some money. So congratulations, but you got a long way to go, brother. Oh yeah, did I get a Chris Rodriguez swap? I was so mad when G suggested Rodriguez on the stream. I'm not going to go through and look for which team was the swap, G. But yes, I'm sure we swapped a Rodriguez team here somewhere. Did I have any Luke Farrell shares? I wanted to scroll that far, but it was too hard. It was too hard for me to get past Dawson Knox and all the way down to Luke Farrell. Cooler Hand, one thing I recommend doing, you can go in and you can click on the info tab on any of the tournament cards, and then you can go down and click all rules, and it'll show the full advancement structure for every tournament. Also, not to be a dick, but I recommend looking at those advancement structures and those rules before entering a tournament. It should be informing your strategy and your portfolio building. All right, people are itching for some best ball stuff here. Let's see if there's anything else. I got to look at the Deposit Kingdom, of course. ADW1 takes it down, has that Goff, Amon-Ra, Kyren pairing, has Jahmyr Chase, Trey McBride, Travis Etienne. Nice of Jahmyr Chase, like he doesn't go nuke, and yet as a first round pick, does his job, right? Like that's sometimes what you want from those first round picks. Obviously you want the 30 burger. But short of that, you'd like them to just have a score that doesn't sink your roster if the other pieces come together. That's what happens here for ADW1, allows them to get a Goff, Amon-Ra, Etienne, Kyren, McBride team home. Congratulations, your week 15 Deposit Kingdom champ, AD1. PM McDonald in second place with a Brock Purdy to Jawan Jennings. Nice. I like that. 12% Jawan Jennings there. And this was a thing, there was a lot of Brock Purdy to Kittle, a lot of Brock Purdy double stacks, but the Brock to Jennings with McBride was kind of a subtle pivot there. Puka, of course, Henderson and James Cook. I don't know if I had any Cook and Henderson in the same game. And that one, in hindsight, looks like a nice correlation too, because we know Henderson is so big play pilled, can get it done in the receiving game, even if in a negative game script. So I don't think the typical negative correlation we generally, assume for two running backs from the same game. So I like that build there from PM. And then Who Hames, shout out Who Hames, has been a guest on the Bash, had the Goff to Amon-Ra, and similar to the Chase thing, right? JSN here, not ideal, only scoring 14.8, but didn't sell out the lineup. I believe the last time I looked at a really good Who Hames lineup, it had Tyrone Tracy at low ownership. I'm starting to notice a pattern. I don't know if Who Hames is in the chat here, but I want to say you're the Tyrone Tracy guy. I feel like this is the second time I've seen Tyrone Tracy at really low ownership in your lineup. Congratulations, Etienne, Tracy, and gets it done here in third place with Kittle. Really hard to make up 12 points on the McBride teams there. So congratulations to third place. Don is back. Were you Kool-Aid Man? Is that what your username was? Mazone says advance rates for round 1 of most tournaments are 2 to 4 people. Advance rates for the remaining rounds don't matter because we all lose. Yeah, if you think getting 1 out of 13 in week 15 is hard, wait until you are facing 15 other really good teams in week 16, and then only one of you advances, because that is what is on tap for BBM pods in week 16. There you are, Who Hames. Congrats, Mr. Tyrone Tracy guy. Let's see here. Who took down the Badge Bros Brawl? TBS with a Stroud, Nico, McBride. Wow, a Badge Bros Brawl team with 3 wide receivers getting it home there. Nice work. Did I have anything else interesting worth looking at? We always got to check my playbook draft, right? This is my first look team This is my CLV team. You know, we're talking about, can you beat the market drafting early? Looks like I bubbled the playbook. I had Allen, Barkley, Hendo, Jamo, Tetaroya, and Kittle. So pretty good there, other than Tetaroya. My last wide receiver pick there only scores 3.5 points. Otherwise, we did a pretty good job with the Tuesday playbook draft. We'll do our new tradition of looking at last place in the playbook, see if there was any bullshit down here. Let's see who gets our prize. Sun007. Didn't we just see his name? Wasn't he like second place in one of those tournaments we just looked at, or first? They have a Joe Burrow, naked Joe Burrow. Okay, that'll do it. Yeah, naked Joe Burrow, Rashee Rice, Tetaroya, Brock Bowers, Gibbs, Henry. These are all solid, viable plays who completely flopped, all put together on one roster. 7.5 for Joe Burrow, 7.8 for Jahmyr Gibbs in a game where there were 70 plus points scored. Derrick Henry gets to 100 rushing yards and only scores 10 points. Rashee Rice has 8.6. I was told he could feast against zone coverage. Tetaroya McMillan, don't know what happened in that game because Red Zone never showed that game. And Brock Bowers, of course, Kenny Pickett could not get him the ball more than 4 yards downfield. So there it is. Your worst lineup of the week here. I'm trying to see if there's any other out-of-pocket stuff. Slim took Kyle Monangai at 1.06% in the playbook. Got to log in on a Monday to grab Kyle Monangai. Got to do it. Oh, I want to see what level swap to here. T. Higgins. Okay. Early week T. Higgins swap. There. Dalton Kincaid, Lamar Jackson. Got to log in on Monday to draft naked Lamar Jackson with T. Higgins. Okay. I guess it was opposite T. There you go. That was the thesis. I like looking at the non-badge teams. Daddy's Girl. Okay. Daddy's Girl wins. Daddy's Girl logged in with Daddy's Money and did a Kareem Hunt, Zach Charbonnet running back team. These are a couple of running back scrolls that would make John Warner blush. Kareem Hunt at 0.53% ownership, 2.5 points. Zach Charbonnet at 0.53 points, scores 3.1. That's the crazy thing going back to the Kenneth Walker stuff. It's not because Kenneth Walker or Charbonnet went nuts or something. Neither of these running backs did anything. Phillip Rivers was just a black hole of production. Phillip Rivers stepping onto the field, his gravitas, his pull, so strong that all fantasy points in that game ceased to exist. It was like life on Mars. It was just inhabitable for fantasy production. Daddy's Girl, Buster Boys. FK Coolers, I can save her. Oh, we're all coping through it this morning. Well done. Well done, guys. Okay. I think that's about it. People want the best ball, right? We want the best ball. Let's pour some more coffee here. Let's roll up the sleeves, I guess, and talk some best ball. I think the best place to start is probably looking at the PD screener here just to kind of figure out where stuff is at. Wow. There are teams that scored 226 points yesterday. I believe the kind of average cut line is around 170 for the BBM pods. Schnees. Wow. I was wondering how many Trevor Lawrence, Kyle Pitts teams there were. But here's one right here. Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence. So you score Trevor Lawrence. You have Bijan and Kyle Pitts. You have Trevor Lawrence with Etienne. You have DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, Wan'Dale Robinson. Oh, you have Trey McBride and Kyle Pitts. And you want to know what's so cruel about this game? This team absolutely giga smashes. Pat yourself on the back. This team will be like 4% chance to advance out of their pod next week. Oh my God. So gross. So gross. But that's insane. That is insane. See, here's a team. Okay, yeah. So Kyle Pitts. I assume Kyle Pitts or Trevor Lawrence will be on all of these top teams. There's Lawrence and Pitts again in third place. Here is a Pitts team in fourth. Here's a Pitts team in fifth. Here's a Pitts team in sixth with Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, all kinds of that there. All right, let's look at my stuff. Let's go to portfolio. And we can kind of cross-reference because I have my team's name so we can see like when teams were drafted. So I had 71 teams in week 15. I'm currently advancing 14 of them. Expected is 12.3. So I guess I'm expected to lose a few of these to a Devon Etienne explosion tonight, but above baseline. So I think you have to do the hashtag we'll take it. We'll take it. But yeah, let's go look at the BBM teams. I have 3 advancing right now. And I believe 2 of them are Best Ball Breakfast, and 1 of them is the Bash. So here we go. What's so cool about this one is this team with Neil Farley was, I believe, the first Bash of the season. This team was drafted on May 28th. And I remember it was, I had just rolled out the Bash. Everyone was like, oh, what kind of weirdo are you going to get on stream or whatever? And then it's Neil Farley, who I've had on the show previously, very sharp drafter, sharp best baller, does a lot of cool data analysis. And I remember drafting this team. It was a Jalen Hurts premium double and a Matthew Stafford double. So here's the team here. It has 170 points. It's Hurts, Stafford. We have Trevion Henderson. We have Tony Pollard, whose score we didn't even use, Tyrone Tracy, Travis Etienne, Blake Corum. Like, this is a pretty sweet 0 running back room. And it's all healthy there. Wide receivers, Puka, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, Travis Hunter, and Ayuk. So that's where we lose our health. No Hunter, no Ayuk. Romeo Dobbs, Jalen Knoll. So very, very weak at wide receiver, I guess is the word for it, because Adams probably isn't going to play this week with the hammy, and it's Puka, AJ Brown. We're going to really need something from Dobbs or Noel. And then our 3 tight ends, Dallas Goedert, Dalton Schultz, Tyler Higbee there. So at the top, like the quarterbacks and the running backs here feel really good. But the wide receiver stuff does not. We're definitely going to be using 3 wide receiver scores there. This is this second team. So the 2 other teams are solo best ball breakfast drafts that are currently advancing. And I just think this is so poetic and sums up best ball and best ball mania and the variants in a nutshell. I name all of these teams, right? You guys can see them on screen. It's the number that I drafted, the date, the show it was on, in the construction, and if I drafted it with someone. I have 1 team across all of these entries that broke that convention. And on August 11th, my 104th Best Ball Breakfast draft, I just labeled it Don't Discuss. Don't discuss. So the 1 team I was so disgusted with at the time that I couldn't even put the construction in the information box is one of my best teams on the site. And if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about best ball, then I don't know what will. I believe on a previous portfolio review, we actually went back and watched what happened there. And before I even look at this team, I just want to see if this team that's like less than a point behind me has anything going tonight to know if I'm going to get hunted down. What's tonight? Miami and Pitt. All right, no Miami and Pitt on that team. That's the brutal thing. Are you guys going to go through all your pods and see what Etienne is behind you? There's a Malik Washington, I guess, but Malik Washington would need to score what? Over 9.1 points and make up. Yeah, so Malik Washington, if Malik Washington goes for 16 points, I lose this one, it looks like. But anyways, here's the team that I did not want to discuss at the time. Caleb Williams, Sam Darnold, Jackson Dart, Josh Jacobs, who I tip my cap to, James Cook, Isaiah Pacheco, Tyrone Tracy, Ramondre Stevenson, and a lucky little rabbit's foot named Jaden Blue as the final running back here. Jamar Chase, Rashee Rice, oof, Jerry Jeudy, oof, Cooper Kupp, oof, Kyle Williams, oof, Wandale Robinson and Torrey Horton. So another rough looking wide receiver room there. And of course, Trey McBride and Jatavian Sanders there. So not sure I love this one either. And then the third one that's currently advancing here is a Josh Allen to a Daniel Jones. Rest in peace, Daniel Jones. Really wish I could flip that to Phillip Rivers right now. Ooh, this team still has Etienne going tonight. Okay. So this one is pretty solid. Etienne, Kyren, Tracy, Tootin, and Giddens. And then what are the wide receivers here? Amon-Ra, Olave, Godwin, Downs, Darnell Mooney, Keon Coleman, Jalen Noel. I do feel like getting a team in the finals with Jalen Noel would be very fun, just considering he was the inspiration for the best ball song of the summer. Tight ends, Dalton Kincaid, Hunter Henry, and Darren Waller. Wow, this must have been a very late summer team. Yes. No. Okay. July 14th. It must have been right after Darren Waller signed there. That's probably my best team looking at these three. Have some high end or have the high end running back with Etienne and the Amon-Ra and some decent wide receiver stuff. Godwin coming on, Kincaid, Henry, I think can touchdown spike. Pretty crazy though, to only have 4.9 points here from tight end. The team behind me does have Tua tonight, but they're like 14 off and Tua would have to clear 21. Do they have any Miami pieces or is this a naked Tua team? Wow. You guys want to look at a tripper of a team? How about a 3 quarterback naked Tua team with solo tight end Dalton Schultz? I thought I was the biggest Dalton Schultz fan in the world. No. GG here is clearly, this is probably like an auto drafted team, right? I don't think any sane person ends up with solo Dalton Schultz under their own free will. But yeah, looking at these other teams, it looks like these three are fairly safe. Here's a Jalen Warren. He would need to score 11.6, but they're like 20 points back. So yeah, he would have to go completely nuts. Yeah, I guess Calvin Austin, if he scores over 9.6, but yeah, so it looks like these are going to be my 3 horses here in BBM. I was bummed out because we had 2 off and on the clock teams that were drafted back to back on the same day that are up here. So this one's in second. This was on August 26th. We did 2 BBM teams back to back, and they're both in second here. This one is just 5 points out. And I mentioned to Nez and John last night, I thought this one had a chance to get in because it had Aaron Jones and CeeDee Lamb going as well as Jake Ferguson, but we did not close the gap enough. We needed like 5 more points from CeeDee Lamb and Aaron Jones combined, and they did not get it there for us. So this team does not have anyone else going tonight, so we're going to have to say goodbye to that one. This team with Ron Stewart was one of my Kyle Pitts teams, and this team, I think, has a chance with an Etienne explosion because this team is 24 points back, but has Etienne and Breece Hall's at 4.7. So yeah, that seems a little thin there. I mean, he'd need to go for what, 28 points? Not impossible, but probably not likely. And then nothing else going tonight. So I would love for this team with Ron to get through, but I'm guessing if Etienne goes for 28, a lot of other teams are getting knocked out as well. So not sure how I feel about that. Yeah, I had a team with Leone up here, but man, this team just ran away with it, 184 points. And truthfully, I'm not going to torture myself looking at a bunch of these other ones here to see if any are in striking distance. So there it is. It seems like the most likely expectation is that I get those 3 teams through. And again, hashtag, I'll take it. I'll take it. Oh man, I just looked back up at the chat and I have 62 comments that I have not read here. BBBB, don't discuss. I know, man. It's ridiculous. Cool says my best team was titled "Took Some Olds." Yes. Okay, you guys are admitting that you already went through every single pot. Copy paste. Can you toggle all weeks to week 15 and it tells you how many quarters remaining? This sounds like a great tip. Where are you talking about? Am I dumb? All weeks to week 15. Sorry, where am I missing this, guys? Help a brother out. I want to make sure I'm not being stupid here. If you guys can help me out, in Underdog, let's see here. Sorry, guys, I've actually never done this. On Underdog, you can do that on your teams. Let's see. I feel like an idiot, guys. Tell me where on Underdog. Like, I need the QA support right now. Okay, here it is. All right, thank you, guys. All right, I see. Okay, gotcha. All weeks, first week 15. There you go. Okay, good tip. I did not know that. Shout out the devs. Shout out the devs. So this is what, so you guys would go into each one of these and look at, okay, I see what you did. All right, I'm not doing that, but I like that you're able to do that. I like that you're able to do that. And then the quarters up at the top here. I see you. I got you. Cool. That is actually helpful. Thank you for that tip. So, all right, let's do this now that I know that this sweet party trick is available. 0 quarters for me, 4 quarters remaining here for this individual. Okay, that's pretty cool. That is cool. Who does this person have going tonight? Where is it? Oh, Adam Thielen. Oh my God. Adam Thielen. If I get the blade from Adam Thielen, that would be hilarious. This person needs Adam Thielen to score. So he hits the lineup at, what is it? Was it 4 point? No, this team, no. Okay, Adam Thielen can't give me the blade. Okay. Adam Thielen would need to score like 40 points. So I'm probably mark saved there. This one here, 0 quarters remaining, 4 quarters remaining. Yeah, this is the Malik Washington one where he would need to score a good bit. Yeah, Malik Washington would need to score 15 points. Honestly, I'll tip my cap to Malik Washington. If Malik Washington goes for 15, I will tip that cap. And then in this Buffalo-Miami one, I have a 14-point lead here. And who do they have? Oh, they have the Tua. But Tua would need to score over 21.92 points. So should be okay there. And this will be the last one I look at. 8 quarters remaining. They have Jaylen Warren. We already talked about that. And Calvin Austin. So yeah, I don't think I have any gross sweats tonight other than the Malik Washington one. That should be fine. Yeah. Again, I'll tip my cap to Adam Thielen. On Phillip Rivers week, it would be an honor to get the blade from Adam Thielen. It is a renaissance for geriatric players right now. M. Stockton says, as a poker player, I got to say best ball feels like the most high variant chaotic game ever. Yeah, it's like drunken pot limit Omaha with bomb pots. Every other orbit would be a good description of best ball. Josh says, I need Etienne to either score 25 or break his leg the first snap. Should be fun. That also summarizes best ball in a nutshell. Let's see some other teams here. Looking at the portfolio, let's see what be some fun ones to look at here. Let's see. What are some of the big boy contests? So I'm advancing 2 of my 4 Chow Chows right now. That could be fun to look at. I do love the Chow Chow contest. I believe, was that the one I made the finals last year? Jonathan, was that the one we were in? Where we both finished like top 12 or something? 2 Chow Chow teams advancing here. This one is pretty well clear. But now that you guys taught me this new trick, I mean, I'm an underdog influencer and I didn't even know you could do this. Ollie Gordon I'm going against tonight. And who else? Let's says 4 quarters. So just Ollie Gordon. I should be good here. I should be good. So here's this team that is the Chow Chow. So I have Hurts and Goff. I have Bijan, Bucky, David Montgomery, Ramondre, Nick Chubb, Shipley. Bijan, Bucky, David Montgomery. Okay. Yeah, having those two up top seems good. I have Jamo, Igbuka, Cooper Kupp, Keon Coleman, Demario Douglas, Troy Franklin, Jalen Coker. Shout out Coker, Jalen Royals, and then Trey McBride and Dallas Goedert. Okay. All right. This team's got a little life, fairly healthy. Shout out Dallas Goedert, man. Just coming out of nowhere yesterday with another 2-touchdown game. And then here's the other one. Looks like I'm well clear of this team as well. Who do they have going tonight? They have Jalen Waddle, who hits the lineup. When does Jalen Waddle hit the lineup? Jalen Waddle hits the lineup at 9, but I'm up on them by 38, 48, 25. So I should be good. Waddle would have to go for like 34. So this team is Hurts, Baker, and Tua. Okay. Bijan, Jacobs, Swift, Spears, Sampson. Come back, Sampson. I would love to win. I would love to win the Chow Chow with Dylan Sampson on it. We'll have Zach make a clip of the time Dylan Sampson led to me seeing a dick on an X search. It would be a grand old time. Devonta Smith, Igbuka. Why do I have Cooper Kupp and Kyle Williams on so many of these teams? Wan'Dale Robinson, De'Ami Brown. This wide receiver room makes me angry. This team better have an elite tight end. This team better have Trey McBride, because it looks like I forfeited 3 early round picks. Thank God Trey McBride is on it. I had to slow roll myself on that, because I was going to be livid if a team whose second best wide receiver is Emeka Igbuka didn't have Trey McBride, Bijan, and Josh Jacobs. Oh my God. But yeah, this wide receiver room is rough. Kupp, Kyle Williams, Wan'Dale Robinson, De'Ami Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Robert Wilson. Yikes. So those are the 2 Chow Chow teams. I'm advancing 2 Husky teams, but it looks like I might lose one of those. Let's go check out the Husky sweat. What was the Husky buying? This was the $40 one here. Ooh, one of these drafted on off and on the clock. There you go. This is 2 advance here, but it looks like, okay, the team behind us doesn't have anything. Here's one team. Okay, a Jalen Warren team that hits the lineup. Ooh, they hit the lineup right away. Nez, we're going to lose an off and on the clock team because of Jalen Warren. That doesn't feel good. So 126 to 136. So that's the sweat. Here's the sweat for off and on the clock in the Husky. We need Jalen Warren less than 10 points. I don't know. Here's this team though. Bo Nix, Dak, Prescott. Oh wait, we have someone going tonight. Who do we have going tonight? Adam Thielen. Oh my God. I remember when John made us draft Adam Thielen on this team. My God. Anyways, Bo Nix, Dak Prescott, Cook, Chase Brown, Jonathan Taylor are the healthy running backs. Sutton Lamb, Jacoby, Keenan Allen, Mims, Romeo Dobbs, Diggs, Adam Thielen, Theo Johnson, Colston Loveland, Evan Ingram. I'm also just seeing your mentions in the Schefter tweet. Steelers have now added Jalen Warren to the injury report for tonight's game due to an illness, and are listing him as questionable. He's fine. This is even faker than the CMCQ tag. He's got the sniffles. All right, let's see this other Husky team. Man, only 125 here. I like looking at the team behind me first and seeing how likely. They have Caleb Johnson. I should be mark safe. But there's another team right behind me, 0 quarters. This team is like 25 back. We should be fine. A Mahomes Tua team. Oh my God. I love nothing more than going to battle in week 16 with a solo Tua team. This running back room is pretty good, though. CMC, Kyren, Swift, Pacheco, Stevenson, Judkins, Brown, JSN, Devontae Smith, Troy Franklin, Jalen Coker, Tesla, Loveland, Chig. This team is gross. Solo Tua with Loveland and Giga Conquo at tight end. What was I thinking? I agree. The percentages here are pretty nice. I believe my best Pitbull team, that was the best Pitbull team in the contest. I think I'm losing that one, but it looks like one of these will get through. What do we got? Or no, what was the no, it was Dalmatian. I think that's the Dalmatian team that I'm going to lose here. I'm not going to look at the Pitbull. Yeah, what were the higher ones? The big board, I'm gonna brick. I had 5 in the big board, losing all of those. Gonna brick the puppy. There's that one Pitbull. We just looked at the Husky. Bricking Schnauzer too. Damn, I'm gonna brick the biggest board. That sucks. Bricking the biggest board. Might get a Pug through. Looks like I'm gonna get a Husky 2 through. Should we look at my Husky 2 team? I do really feel like Liam right now. I guess the only difference is I only do this in week 15 and not every single week of the season. Let's see my Husky 2 team. Kyler Murray on it. God damn it. But at least it's probably going to come with Michael Wilson would be my guess. Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold, Bijan, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, and then these two fuckers, Jaden Blue and Will Shipley. So sick of seeing your two goddamn names. T. Higgins, come back healthy. Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison, Juwan Jennings, Luther Burden, Torrey Horton, Troy Franklin, Michael Wilson. Okay. This team, and then Tucker Kraft, man, what a buzzkill. Dallas Goedert pulling this team up. So solo tight end. I really liked this wide receiver room. Higgins, Smith, Addison, Juwan Jennings, Burden, Franklin, Wilson with the Bijan, JT, Breece. But man, solo Goddard is a bit of a dick punch. Zero QB strategy. Yeah, you learn about some of these strategies you didn't even know you were into when you look at your teams in week 15. That's the Husky 2. Okay, the bigger board. Looks like we have one bigger board team to sweat here. Let's see where these were pre-draft. The bigger board. 136. What does this person behind me have? They have tonight. Okay, the Jaylen Warren. They have the Jaylen Warren who hits the lineup at 5.7. And they are 12 points back from me. So Jaylen Warren goes for 17 and I lose this. We can get our hopes up for that. Not a bad quarterback room. Hurts, May, Ward, Barkley, Pollard, Swift, Tootin, Jalen Wright, and Jordan James. There was a moment this summer where I hopped in a draft and in the 18th round, I said, you know who I need? Jordan James. Oh, this team has Tyreek Hill on it. Oof. Tyreek Hill and Calvin Ridley. Why am I looking at this team? Devontae Adams isn't going to play. I guess the second half of this lineup could cook. Jacoby, Diggs, Michael Wilson. Take me to the promised land. George Kittle, Goddard, Chig. Man. How much Penix and Kyler do you think we see in week 16 with the Pitts and McBride exposures? Yeah, that's an interesting one. Probably more Penix than Kyler would just be my guess, just because Kyler was more expensive and a lot of people would take McBride and not necessarily force the Kyler stack. Whereas with Penix, I feel like that late round backdoor stack was actually fairly popular, where you have London early, you have Mooney, you grab Penix, and then you tack on Pitts. That would just be my guess. Do we think the Chiefs continue to roll out Kelsey? I have no clue, man. I have no clue. That would be a question for our short king and Kansas City Chiefs superfan, Davis Maddock. I have no clue. It does feel like at this point, no Mahomes. I mean, how is Kelsey going to get up for a game? Like, there's just no, I mean, the whole thing with Kelsey these past few years is how they slow roll him and load manage him for this time of the year. And now there's nothing to load manage him for. Do you guys hear that? Is that Noah Gray's music? Scroll the F down for Noah Gray. Minshew to Noah Gray stacks for all the money. This is a good point from Don. I found solitude in the fact that there's a ton of dead roster spots on most of the advancing rosters I've seen. Yeah. Yep. People who are showing up late now, guys, we have already covered the Jaylen Warren stuff. I will just say this. If you don't think Jaylen Warren's playing tonight, you're probably coping through hoping he doesn't hunt you down in a pod. It's just an illness. We've seen the illness stuff. Like, I mean, is there an illness speak index out there who can fact check me? Because anecdotally, the illness guys play 95% of the time. I think it would be wild if Jaylen Warren doesn't play. Now, the cope you want is that Jaylen Warren has been losing heaps and heaps of fantasy points to Kenneth Gainwell. And so you're probably okay there. Rice could start surfing his sentence. That would be Rashi Rice walking in to the jailhouse being like, all right, Mahomes is out. We're out. I'm ready. I'm ready to serve my drag racing sentence. All right. I don't know if I have anything else to. Did I have a Badge Bros Brawl? I think I drafted one Badge Bros Brawl team with the bros on stream, and I think it's a banger. I think it's a banger here. 179 points. Hurts, Baker, Brock, Gibbs, Taylor, Cook, Hendo, Pollard. Look at that running back room. And again, this is a smaller tournament, so everybody's teams are loaded here. Puka, AJ Brown, Evans, Devonta Smith, Rashi Rice, Travis Hunter, Chris Olave, Kittle, Kraft, likely. Shout out Badge Bros Brawl. Is there anything else I should look at? The Poodle. Should I look at the Poodle? I think I had a puppy team with Kyle Pitts that's going to get the blade. I have one pug team and one poodle. This poodle team has 152. We will look at the poodle and then we will move on. Where are you? Where are you, poodle? There you are. God, winning the poodle. Winning the poodle would be the greatest accomplishment of my life, and it has Caleb fucking Johnson on it and Cam Scatterbo. Goff, Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, rest in peace. Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, Caleb Johnson, Travis Etienne, Cam Scatterbo, Justin Jefferson, and Marvin Harrison. Unbelievable. And the slot demon and Jaden Higgins. This team is an atrocity. I don't even want to look. I'll look on Wednesday. Advance the pods. Advance them now. Warren sits, Caleb Johnson nuke. Honestly, if Warren sits, which he won't, it's going to be like the Bill thing for Caleb Johnson, where they'll still be reluctant to give him like 10 touches. Caleb Johnson will have to score from 20 yards out because they are going to give any high value touch in that game to Kenny Gainwell. I have seen this movie before and I know what happens. Oh yeah, the bio will be getting updated for sure. For sure. Goods, we're getting there. You know, we're working on. I'm in no hurry here. We had a lot to cover on the best ball front there. It is. Do you guys like that there doesn't seem to be like, what are your guys' big sweats tonight? I mean, obviously Achane's really the scary one, right? I mean, what else is scary? I guess a Waddle nuke. Pittsburgh has been a little leaky to wide receivers. It's hard to imagine. I mean, the tight ends on the Dolphins aren't relevant. The tight ends on the Steelers are barely relevant. The quarterbacks aren't relevant. It seems like I'm going to absolutely jinx this, right? I'm about to say this is like a nothing burger for best ball tonight. And then it'll be like a 45-40 game. And I'll be coming on here later this week to talk about how Malik Washington killed my best ball mania dreams. Ash, I'm talking conceptually. This game doesn't seem like it matters that much. Can they just not play the game? You got to ask Kyren what the number is for Buffalo Wild Wings to not send the game into triple overtime, but to actually not get played at all. Metcalf. Okay, I forgot about Metcalf. I didn't see Metcalf on too many teams when I was going through them. I did see a video of the Dolphins. I believe they got in, was it last night or 2 nights ago? And they immediately went and did a night practice in the snow. I thought that was cool. You know, one of the knocks on the Dolphins, this was soft, warm weather team. Can't go up to the East Coast and play. And they just immediately rolled into town and did a night practice in the snow. All right. Let's, we got to hit on some Guillotine, some Splash. I believe I lost my team in, I fucking lost my team in the Hollywood League. I'm so tilted too. It had Etienne on it. And we'll go look at the Deposit Kingdom in the ship chasing here in a second. But I'm just tilting because I had a banger of a team in this one. We were down to the final 4. And I got God fucking Quinshon Judkins, man. He burned me everywhere. Burned me on DraftKings. Burned me on Underdog. Burned me in Guillotine League. Had Etienne, had Nico, had Drake May. The start sit that killed me was Judkins versus Henderson. And I played the higher median projection in Judkins. And it cost me. I even sat Jonathan Taylor. No problem. Sit Jonathan Taylor there. If I don't sit, I sit Judkins for Jonathan Taylor, I might eke it out. But yeah, so there goes my Guillotine year. 3 bullets now out in all of them. GG's. It is my my favorite way to play season-long fantasy at this point, as far as manage. So I will be back again next year. We'll be running some more leagues, I'm sure. But let's check in on the Deposit Kingdom League and the Ship Chasing League as well. All right. Come on. Refresh for me here. I know my team has been chopped. I want to see the other teams. Okay, here it is. Uh-oh. Frankie. GG's to Frankie. It's been a good run here. How are we doing, Frankie? What sold out, Frankie? Gibbs at 9.8. Woody Marks at 4.8. Oh, my goodness, Frankie. You did the same thing as me. Your Quinshon Judkins was Woody Marks over Henderson. Oof. Oof, oof. Yep, that hurts. That hurts. RJ Harvey, Trevion Henderson on the bench. Woody Marks goes for 4.8. This Guillotine is sneakily a start-sit contest at the end. It's who is better at navigating those start-sits. So we're going to lose Frankie there. And who are our final 3 in the Deposit Kingdom contest? We have TTP getting blizzy with it and DeMoney. TTP running away with it this week with a McBride, Lamb, still has Etienne to go, Puka, Barkley, Bijan, Stafford. So obviously you're seeing a ton of super teams. Ooh, and has cornered the market on the elite tight ends. McBride and Bowers both on this team there. Good luck to those remaining in the Deposit Kingdom Guillotine League. Here's an update from Tom Pelissero. Jalen Warren woke up sick and is getting fluids, but I'm told he's optimistic about playing tonight. Dude just needs a little Pedialyte. He's going to be fine. All right, let's check out the Ship Chasing League. I saw a lot of conversation in our Ship Chasing chat about this, and I believe we lost JB Phil. JB Phil had what seemed like the runaway favorite once Kyren was knocked out, and I believe he blew it. I think that the post I saw was he didn't bid for Trey McBride. I think he had a chance. Look at this. So he had $13. He had Emo Cowboy and Steph, Waiver Queen, blocked from a waiver perspective, and I think let Trey McBride sneak through. I believe that is what happened. JB Phil stayed pat with George Kittle, and then Henry sold him out. Gibbs sold him out. Just not enough scores there. Emo Cowboy with a monster score this week gets Trey McBride here, 37.4 points from McBride, 41.4 from Amon-Ra. And let's see here. So it's going to be down to Steph and Emo. And this one, I think I messed it up when I was setting this one up because these guys are going to be having their finals next week, which wasn't the intention. I think I got tripped up on 17 weeks, 16 weeks with the head-to-head element at the end. So week 16 championship. Week 16 is all that matters in the ship chasing chop league. We'll see what Steph can do here with Josh Allen, Bijan, Woody Marks, Chase, Tedoroy, Thanon, Adams, Puka. Yeah, it looks like Emo's team should probably be a pretty big favorite in these finals here. Let's see how I did in Splash. Ooh, okay. I legitimately hadn't looked yet. I had not looked. Third place in Splash, 227.7. Oh, my guy Davis in 7th. And look at this. Where's Tate? No Tate 81 to be found. You love to see it. Davis in 28th. Nice work. There are some Etienne teams, I assume. Who has the best Etienne team going tonight? Okay, nobody in the top here. Am I typing this right? All right, maybe my Control F is not working, but that would be the Sweat. So yeah, this team that finished third for me, or is at least in third right now, was a Puka, Brock Purdy, Amon-Ra, Jahmyr Chase, Trey McBride, JJ McCarthy. Oh, I forgot I had a JJ McCarthy lineup. I forgot that. Man, this is like me saying if Josh Jacobs beats me, he beats me, and then I have 2 Josh Jacobs teams. This is like me being the world's biggest Max Brosmer guy and playing JJ McCarthy in tears. The Davis lineup was the Swolecast lineup. Holy shit. And I didn't even leave that one in. I erased that one. I built from the start. But even George Pickens, 6.3, George Kittle, 22.8 here. Look at that. All right. Looks like we went 517 out of 556 this week. So keep joining us in the tiers contest here on Splash. Did I survive in Survivor? Yeah. So I had one that I lost Tampa Bay. I did another Road to the Big Game Survivor, but I have my Sam Fran and Philly combo moving on. Having a lot of fun on Splash, though. Join us over there on the Swolecast. We build a lineup each week and review the winning teams there. FFPC, let's see here. So we're in the sprint, obviously, now. We had the bye in the 5K league, so nothing to report on there. The sprint in the FFPC can be very cruel because you'll look up and you'll see a team who scored 260 points and you're just like, how in God's name do I hunt this team down? This is obviously tight end premium. So you have teams that have Kyle Pitts and Trey McBride on them that combine for almost 100 points, just Kyle Pitts and Trey McBride alone. So you're going to have teams like this: Trevor Lawrence, Trey McBride, Kyle Pitts scoring 260. And you can see our team with Steph that we were sweating a little bit on the Shipcast yesterday. It scores 173, which is like a good score. That's a good weekly score. And it's almost 100 short of what the team did. And you get the average of your regular season too as a start, as a way to kind of reward the good regular season team here showing it. And then you get the total added to your other scores. So yeah, we're gonna have some room to catch up here. This is the team with Sean here in 693rd and the team with Hot Heat. We'll see if we can cover some ground. We do have an Etienne going tonight, so that should help one of these scores. Shout out to the Establish the Run. This is a Leone. It's a Leone Levitan Silva team, I believe. And they're up here at the top. They have the Amon-Ra, Trey McBride, Henderson, James Cook, Jared Goff cooking up here. But this is a tough contest, the way this sprint works. But we'll see. We'll see if we can make some noise. The team with Steph, we had the Drake May, Trevion Henderson, J-Mo, big games, but Brock Bowers hurt us. Rico hurt us there, but we'll see if we can make some more noise in week 16. Thank you, Huhames, for the gifted membership. Appreciate you. I was driving earlier in Pete's stream, so couldn't chat. Yeah, always keep the hands at 10 and 2. I would hate to be responsible for the first ever super chat related driving accident. You know, we had to tell David Kitchen not to draft and drive, and I need to put the PSA out there to all the enjoyers of this stream to not super chat and drive. Okay, that's Splash, FFPC, Guillotine we just did. Are we moving on to Monday night? Should we build a pick 'em? Where's my guy Josh? I need to put up the bat signal here for Josh. We got to get a shipper in here. As far as pick'ems yesterday, our haterade pick hit. We had the Jacoby Brissett interception from Nez. We had John did lower on Kenny Pickett yards, which he didn't even get close to, and I did lower on AJ Brown receptions, and I believe he only had 2. So that was a nice pick'em hit. Our Shipcast one was close. Amon-Ra, Puka, RJ Harvey, Jawan Jennings needed 11 more yards if we had just gone fantasy points on him. And then Jacob Sanderson was adamantly trying to get us to slide Phillip Rivers as part of the core. We never slide in the core. The core is supposed to be a layup. We talk him down to Michael Pittman Jr., 33.5 receiving yards, and Pittman goes at 26. Jacob, to his credit, has been on a generational heater with his pick'em selections for the Shipcast. He's always dialed, always has a really good selection. I think he's batting like 900 this year with his picks, but he was clouded. He had a homer-like fog around him as he was trying to process this game. He knew he was going to watch Phillip Rivers in person, and he could not help himself with this Phillip Rivers halo effect in this selection, Michael Pittman. Let's just be glad that Jawan Jennings didn't clear this, because if Michael Pittman Jr. with a fucking 44-year-old quarterback sold out our 20X pick him for the Shipcast, I would have been livid. All right, here we go. All right, we got a couple profit boosts as well. We got a 60% profit boost and a 40%. Let's make them good. My guy Josh says Tua under passing yards, 192. I can fuck with that. He's been at 127, 157, 171, 173. All right, let's ride. Take the over on Jalen Warren sneezes. We're not doing, everyone, this is the thing you have to do. We're not doing any emotional hedges in these. I don't care about best ball sweats. This is, you put your blinders on and you play the best plays, okay? I can't have any of that best ball tilt and interests bleeding over. We need a winner. We need a winner here. Yeah, let's see if the Steelers are still up here. Steelers, Jalen Warren, 51.5 rush yards, 14.5 receiving yards. Gainwell, they don't have anything but touchdowns on. Kenneth Gainwell, anytime TD does strike me as good. Etienne, you guys like Etienne longest rush? What do we have for like game high Etienne? Do we have anything fun there? So they give us game high receiving yards, but do we not, or do they just not even have a game high rushing market right now? So you guys like longest rush over 17.5. All right, it seems like there's a bit of a consensus on that. Let's see, longest rush, 17.5. I do think that coincides with a Tua lower, right? If he's rushing, if he's picking up a long run. We're going to need a Pittsburgh Steeler, though, folks. We're going to need a Pittsburgh Steeler here. All right, so we have Tua lower passing yards. We have Etienne higher longest rush. We need one more. We need one more. I wonder. This someone said Calvin Austin higher, and someone said Calvin Austin under. They pulled it. Etienne was 0.75x game high rushing. Thielen under. What is Thielen at? Do we do this? Adam Thielen lower 12.5. He's had one target at Baltimore, one target at Green Bay. What is even the utilization here recently? Like I just basically, I think, have pretended like the Steelers don't exist. I don't know anything about how their current offense is operating. Let's go look at the usage. Let's see past couple weeks here. So Adam Thielen, he ran 31% of the routes, had a 9% targets per route run, 3% of the targets. And Scantling ran 46% of the routes, 6% targets per route run, 3% of the targets. Does Rodgers have a rushing line? Now we're cooking. I'm going to just put this in as a placeholder. I don't hate the Thielen lower. What if you did Thielen receptions lower and you take out the yards? Is this guy catching 2 balls? He's done it once since he joined the Steelers against Baltimore. Because we do have the 60% boost to offset this. See, Ragnar, this is why I'm saying we go lower on the 2 catches. You're seeing 1 catch for 16. Rush yards is set at 0.5. They're giving him the Phillip Rivers line. What has he been at? So he had 1 game against Cincinnati where he had 8 yards rushing. So it's either 0 or nothing. Guys, I think this Adam Thielen. Oh, you're right. This was probably an old one here for Thielen. But still, is this man earning 2 catches tonight? Freiermuth over 17.5 receiving yards. I feel like we need a lower in here, guys. I mean, we already have Tua, but I don't want to bet on this fucking mess at tight end with the Steelers. Look at this. Darnell Washington leading the team with a 10% target share. This is over the past 2 weeks. Jonnu's at a 6% and Freiermuth's at a 6%. I don't want to take a higher on these guys. What's up, Rich? Rodgers under 67.3 completion percentage. Guys, I think I'm in on Thielen lower than 2 receptions. I think I'm at peace with that. With the 60% boost, we still get this over the typical 6x for a 3-legger. It's up to a 7.06. What's the update here? All right. This is going to be the core. We can run 2 cores if we want. All right. There's the core. Tua, Etienne, Thielen. We have one more boost, though, that we can roll. I'm not hedging. I'm not hedging with Adam Thielen. What else did we like? I do like the Gainwell anytime TD. Should we roll that? Should we do like Gainwell anytime TD with the Tua lower? Now it's saying it's inactive. Come on. This could be just like a clean. Oh, wow. Gainwell already getting hammered down to 1.17. slide Thielen over receiving. You guys want to hedge across pickup entries? That is actually pretty funny. It's very funny. Tua lower, Kenny Gainwell anytime TD. Let's see. Should we get something back with Etienne? We did the longest rush. Do you want to mix it up a little bit? I mean, before the last 2 weeks, his receiving, I mean, he left the game against the Jets. He had 22 rushes against New Orleans. He's been over 20 carries the past 3 games in a row. Isn't higher 17.5 rush attempts pretty good? I mean, they are saddling him up with carries. That seems like a nice little 10Xer there. And it also correlates well with the Tua. Tua goes lower. Etienne clears 17.5 rush attempts, and Kenny Gainwell scores a TD. I think I like this one. Here we go. There's core number 2. Appreciate you, David. As always, you can set your watch to this man coming in the stream and gifting 5 Membies. Appreciate you. What about Waddle? He seems fine. Knock yourself out. I used my 2 boosts. My boosts are gone, brother. My boosts are gone. All right, this is what we're going to do. We are going to do a first look. We'll do our usual 6-person playbook and then 12-person playbook. Doesn't look like any of the other main contests are up. Let's hit a 6-person here first. Week 16. That's where we're at. I am almost freed from my compulsion to max the BR. We will max it in week 16. We will max it in week 17. We will sit out week 18 as we become a cash game king. And we will max it the divisional round weekend, or wild card and divisional round weekend. So what is that leaving? That leaves me 4 more slates. Yeah, 16, 17, wild card and divisional. 4 more really good slates. All right. Let me see here what this slate is looking like. I always love seeing the quarterback ADP in here. It's always very funny to start the week. It's just all of them at the top. Running back, Etienne, Bijan, Gibbs, Javonte, James Cook, Bucky, Chase Brown. Wide receivers, Chase, Amon-Ra. So no Puka on this slate. Yeah, what is the schedule for this week? Okay, so Rams Seahawks play on Thursday night. So no JSN and Puka on this slate. And then, we have the Saturday games. We have 2 Saturday games. I completely forgot about that. Eagles Commanders. So no Hurts. And then Packers Bears on Saturday. And then Sunday night football is Patriots Ravens. So no Lamar, no May, no Hendo. And then 49ers Colts. God, we are going to be all of the pod determinations for week 16 into week 17 are going to rest on Phillip Rivers' shoulders at home versus the Niners. All right, we are back on the clock here. Let's see. Do we go back to the Gibbs well? I think we go back to the Gibbs well. Gibbs, the 101 hammer. Etienne and Gibbs, or no, not Etienne and Gibbs. Etienne. Who's Etienne playing this week? Cincy. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Etienne does get the nutted matchup. Yeah, I mean, I think Etienne is very deserving as well. Who does Atlanta play? Atlanta plays Arizona. So, yeah, there's some good spots here up at the top. Let me see the early totals for this week. So we have a lot of totals in the mid 40s. Chargers, Cowboys, 49.5. Look at that. Chiefs, Titans, 37.5. My God. Bills, Browns, 42.5. Okay. Bengals, Dolphins is at 50. Jags, Broncos at 46. Falcons, Cardinals, 47.5. Lions, Steelers, 49.5. So not as good as last week. These are like toilet bowls that could shoot out. We're back again here. I think Allen at this point is fine. Nothing with tight end. James Cook. I mean, Cleveland's been getting shredded on the ground. I'm not taking Javonte over James Cook. I don't really want Rashee Rice. You could buy the dip on Pickens, I think. I'm going to grab James Cook, though. Chunk the Douche, are we bashing this week? Yes, we are going to bash. I will say the bash will be on Thursday. It will be normal time. It can't be a long bash Thursday because I have my wife's office Christmas party in the city on Thursday early evening. So I'm going to have to hightail it out of here after the bash to meet her for that. But there will be a bash. There will be a bash. It'll be the normal set of shows this week. Obviously, Swolecast tomorrow. Thursday, we'll get back to lulls. We haven't been able to do that in a few weeks. We'll have the bash. We'll get the Fantasy Life drafting stream. And then Friday, the usual block party, Bully the Sims. We'll get Yuta back in the saddle, I believe. So, yeah, all of the normal stuff here. Quarterback, Herbert's here. Rashee Rice, Ladd. I feel like, why do I have running back on still? Ladd versus Dallas seems like a fine bounce back spot, as does Waddle. Waddle's probably going to project the best of these guys. Waddle versus Cincy, or do we go Ladd with Dallas? All right, we'll take Jalen Waddle here. I will not be streaming my wife's work holiday party. I could come up with 5,000 ideas of things I would do before that. Normal time for the bash is 3 Eastern. 3 Eastern. So yeah, we'll go for an hour. Maybe I can fire it up a few minutes early once lulls is over. How often do teams eliminated from the playoffs bench their good players week 16 or 17? Honestly, not that often. I do feel like the Chiefs could be an anomaly. But for the most part, like, these guys are paid to play football. The fans pay to go see these guys play. Maybe you can question effort. You can question all of that stuff. But it's very rare that you just see teams completely bench a guy without cause, right? If someone's banged up and they would otherwise play through it, sure. But just like phantom benching, waving the white flag on the season, generally not in week 16 and 17. Let's see. Josh liked the Olave here versus the Jets. That does seem fun. So we got Gibbs, Cook, Waddle, Olave. This would be a good spot for a rushing QB, I feel like. Maybe a Bo Nix, a Jackson Dart. You can always play Brissett. Yeah, this is a good way to say it. Players and coaches don't take. GMs can via roster building. These guys are always putting tape on their reel, trying to get paid, trying to get the next job. Who's our favorite rushing quarterback? If we do like Dart at home, he's not really rushing that much, and Minnesota has been kind of tough. I feel like Bo Nix versus the Jags is probably a good rushing quarterback. And then this is just all a wash at tight end now. I'm just going to take Nix. This narrative I feel like has been kind of debunked. I mean, Zay Flowers has been close to just 2 monster games against Cincy. I know DJ Turner's been fine, but I think it's more of a small sample size. It's a little noisy. They've just been a historically bad defense, and it just so happens that the teams have chosen to beat them on the ground and over the middle. But I think talented wide receivers, alpha wide receivers, can certainly cook them. And Waddle, just as fast as Zay, just as capable of earning targets. I am not afraid of the Cincy pass defense and DJ Turner. Zay should have had 25 yesterday and still had 17. Who do I want tight end? Definitely not Kelsey. Fannon's fine, right? Probably not Jawan on the Olave team, although maybe we just double that up. We could play Strange opposite Knicks. Schultz versus Las Vegas is fine. Who do we like of these ones? Go back to the Fannin 14 targets yesterday. Pick on the Jets with Jawan and Olave. Correlate Strange opposite Knicks. Or play Schultz versus Las Vegas team that just got shredded by Dallas Goedert. Schultz, 8 targets versus Arizona, 7 targets versus Indy. Fannin does go. Don't worry, Davis. I don't care. Ingram not on your radar? No. How many targets did Ingram have yesterday? He had 3 targets, 2 targets, 3 targets. They're just way stronger bets here. Johnson's target floor just hasn't been hurt. I think I like Schultz. I mean, Schultz has been really consistent here. I think it was Jawan or Schultz probably. It was a bummer to see the Strange targets bottom out yesterday. I mean, I guess, Etienne was just feasting so much that they barely needed to throw. But I will never beat the allegations that I love Dalton Schultz so much. You guys want to do a 12-person? Let's do a 12-person here. We'll see how gross we can get. Come on. Here we go. All right, the best part of my week, drafting a 12-person playbook draft. We need 6 more. 6 more. $5 entry, $500 to first, but more importantly, the glory of getting reviewed a week from Monday. We got the 103. I believe Sun 007 is who we saw finished in last in the playbook. The 6-person playbook in week 15, and they're back for more. They are undeterred. London Jerry Rice. I call him Marvin Harrison Sr. That's my nickname for him. Go Easy Cards wants me to take Kelsey. I don't know, bro. I think Kelsey might just sail off into the sunset. All right, we got the 103 here. So we'll get one of Etienne, Bijan, or Gibbs. Probably going to get Gibbs again, which is fine. Or we could take Chase. Okay. Sun takes Josh Allen 102. Just Snap takes him. Is he autoing these off of ADP? I'll take Bijan versus Arizona. Sure. Oh man. Yeah, I was reminiscing on the Shipcast last night that I remember the week 15 Monday Night Football game from last year. I remember I was in my basement. I was doing some stuff, and I had the game up on my laptop, and it was Falcons versus Raiders, and it was a Desmond Ridder game. And I think Brock Bowers had like 3 catches in the first quarter or first half. And I think I needed on multiple teams like 10 points from Brock Bowers to advance a couple of teams in BBM or maybe somewhere else. And then Desmond Ridder did not get him the ball the rest of the game. And that was one of the more agonizing sweats, right up there with 2 years ago, needing one more CMC point in week 16 to get a team to the BBM finals in that high scoring game against the Ravens. But you always remember those very specific sweats and tilts. Yeah, man. And that was the stretch. The other thing, I pulled up the box score yesterday on the Shipcast, and that was when Amir Abdullah was cooking. Like, Amir Abdullah was catching like 5 to 6 balls a game for the Raiders. Just a part of fantasy history I would like to be able to forget, but apparently I can't. I'll also say, if you didn't watch the Shipcast yesterday, go back and watch it. It's very evergreen. There's about a 45-minute segment about Harold Fannin Jr., who gets to associate it with their personal brand more, Davis or Pat. We went back and we're watching January streams to see who mentioned Harold Fannin first. It was quite the time. It was quite the time on the Shipcast yesterday. That's the one thing. You would think for 4-hour live streams that are on paper supposed to be sweating the games, there ends up being a ton of evergreen content that has nothing to do with the games themselves. M. Stockton, the good players remember the hands they lose more than the hands they win. Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, like when you win, I think in fantasy and sports and gambling, it's almost like it always has the feeling of like a relief. Like it's like less excitement. It's more of just real, like, oh, I can just exhale. Like, I won one. And then you just like move on. You like don't celebrate. But when you lose, it hurts and it sticks with you for sure. Rohan, I remember Darius Slayton killing it those 2 weeks, outscoring Debo in that Ravens 4 interception game to push me to week 17 in the DK Millie. There you go. LED has a McBride Pitts team not getting through. That is some sick shit, man. Oh, yeah. Don G, the worst is losing and then seeing the player that killed you the week before nuke the next week. I always remember it's Scott Pianowski, long time. I actually don't know if he's still at Yahoo, which is on me, but longtime fantasy writer. And it was when I first started playing fantasy. I remember him writing in a column this phrase where he said, no team dances quite like the one who was just busted. And he had a better turn of phrase there. But yeah, like no team dances quite like the one that was just busted from the tournament or whatever. And it's so true. It is so true. That team that goes down in flames in week 15 or week 16, and then you see it put up what would have been like a 200-point score the next week. That's just how it works. That is just how it works. Yosh, did I not pull up your limb? I got to pull that up. We'll after I make these 2 picks, we'll go back. I forgot to check on your eliminator sweat. That's my B. All right, we are back on the clock. Look at all these quarterbacks. What are we doing? Breece Hall, Jalen Warren, Judkins, Etienne. I mean, at what point do we just say, yeah, like Etienne is a monster? Breece Hall versus New Orleans, nah. Judkins against Buffalo. Do I have this in me? I'm doing it. I need We just said, what happens? It's going to be Judkins flop lag. He's going to get this Bills defense that continues to get shredded on the ground. We're doing it. We're going back to Judkins. The Brick second place team bit. Oh my God. Yeah. If you guys don't watch Lulz, was that 2 years ago or was that last year? Brick thought he advanced a team that didn't advance. You know what? It obviously didn't make it, but the team, I should go find it because one of the teams that I drafted with Brick on Lulz was actually made it to week 15. Let's see, wide receiver. I just did Jalen Waddle. We did Jalen Waddle and Chris Olave. Let's take Chris Olave again. Oh, the site isn't updated. Will you just tell us in the chat? Tell us the exact sweat. Tell us how much money's on the line. Tell us the exact particulars of who you're sweating or anti-sweating. Yeah, David, we talked about the Jalen Warren stuff. I'm not concerned. I'm infinitely more concerned about Kenny Gainwell than I am the Jalen Warren. There was the follow-up report from Pelissero, said he was going to get some fluids and he would be fine. That's impressive. I got a KLS team through where he scored points for me, which is wild. KLS bookending my season for me. The very first game of the year, I went on TV and I memed KLS as one of my starts, my sicko sleeper start for that pregame Chiefs Chargers game. And I was just one divisional match too early. I always knew he'd shred the Chiefs. I was just too early on it. Yeah, Warren's going to get drunk on fluids. Who is the defensive player that recently admitted he was showing up to games drunk? This is the team that LED lost. He had Mahomes, Gibbs, Etienne, Higgins, McLaurin, Rice, McBride, Pitts. You had Etienne, McBride, Pitts, and didn't advance? Oof. Yosh says, my opponent had Pitts, Cook, Hendo, but my team went nuts too. Now fading 18 from Etienne, which is his exact projection. And remind me, Yosh, what is the swing on this? Is this 10K versus 20K? Oh my God, Yosh, what a sweat. Man. 18 from Etienne. Yes. That really, man, and what that really does come down to, it comes down to like, does he rip off a big play or does he get 2 goal line touchdowns? Like if you can fade the 60-yard touchdown run, if you can fade the second goal line carry, oh man, that is rough. This advancement pays an additional 30K. Oh my God, Yosh. What a sweat, man. Good luck, brother. Shorty has a BBM team with a 94% chance of advancing that has Gibbs and Derrick Henry and does not have McBride or Goddard. That's what you want. That is what you want. The low-owned gems in week 16. Let me see here. I know you said it wasn't updated, but I just want to see who you're okay. All right. So who is your opponent? Steampunk. What's their username? Because I can at least pull up their roster here. It's one of these guys on the left, obviously. People want to know, Yosh, how are you going to sweat this? Are you going to watch it? Are you going to try to distract yourself for 3.5 hours? Are you going to hedge it? You're going to go on the sports book? I mean, the traditional sports books don't generally even offer fantasy points as a hedge, and you probably wouldn't be able to get enough down anyways. I know this is last week's, but I will be able to pull up the winning team because these are the teams that advance. Man, these 12-person playbooks are not for the faint of heart. I didn't realize that I survived 5 Pitts teams. Which one is it, Lou? Which team? I pulled up my 3. I pulled up my 3 teams that have a good chance to advance, but I didn't recognize that one of them was against 5 Pitts teams. All right, we're back on the clock. Wide receiver, tight ends. Man, this is pretty gross. We can punt. Quarterback, QJ, Marvin Harrison, Shakir. I mean, it's got to be Jacoby, right? Or Igbuka against Carolina. Godwin versus Carolina as well. I think Jacoby, he's just continues to rack up targets. Just chase the targets in these playbooks. I just looked up at my team and I'm in absolute disbelief. I just donated $5 to the site with this team. I like how it is funnier mentally to think that you gave the money to Jeremy and Redmond than like the $4.10 to your ops and then a 90 cents to them. It is funnier to think that you give it directly to the site. All right, I'm going to do Trevor Lawrence. I mean, what? We're not going to draft this guy who just scored 44 points because he's playing Denver? Give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break, bro. It's like Shep. Here it is. All right, so this is the team. This guy on the right. Here it is, Etienne. So he had Lamar. And again, I know this is last week. I'm just looking at the rosters. So he has Etienne. He had Cook and Hendo go off. He had Puka go off. Had Pitts. Man. Pickens at least chilled out. Godwin, Shaheed, Bateman didn't play. But yeah, the Pitts, Cook, Hendo. And then let's see what Yosh is working with. This is the team where, Yosh, you had Jacobs, Kyren, and Etienne. Holy cow, man. And you had Goddard go. That is sick. To be able to somewhat mitigate the Pitts explosion in a head-to-head with Goddard is massive. Michael Wilson scores for you. Juwan Jennings scores twice. Man, if you could have just gotten one Adams TD or one Chase TD. But, man, your running back trio to have, what is that? Is that 6 combined touchdowns, 7 combined touchdowns from Jacobs, Kyren, and Etienne with the Goddard? There is something about some of these teams of destiny, right? That they make it this far, and it's just like, how do you pull that rabbit out of your hat? How do you pull 7 touchdowns out of your running back room right when you need it the most? All right, let's see here. I think I am going to put a few tight ends in the queue and push the plane here, fellas, as I have lost interest in this 12-person playbook as we head to the final pick. But it's been a wonderful portfolio review. Thank you for indulging me in looking through my best ball teams. Thank you for indulging me in playbook drafts and Splash Sports and Guillotine and FFPC and DraftKings and Underdog and everything else that we poured our heart, our soul, and our American dollars into this year and in week 15. Good luck tonight. Big good luck to our guy Yosh. Big good luck. He has been a staple around here, has had an awesome year in the Eliminator. We will be rooting for you. The number one thing I will be thinking about tonight is keeping Devon Achane under 18 points for you, brother. And good luck to everyone else as you guys fight and claw your way into the best ball semifinals. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Swolecast. I'll see you around the Deposit Kingdom. And it sounds like I'll see some of you guys on Thursday for the Bash as well. For producer Mark, I'm Pete. This is the portfolio review. I'll see you guys next time.